there's an organization called the Institute for American Values. And they put out a lot of material on the social and economic impact of the family, both positively and negatively. Now, we all hear a lot about one of the factors that is going to determine whether or not someone gets ahead in life is education. You know, you get the child educate and they're going to be prosperous citizen when they get older. Well, that is true, but actually if you do a sociological study of the factors of it, what is even more of a determinant of a child's future is, does he come from a solid family background? That is even more determinant than what kind of education they get. And the amount of time that they're able to spend with the parents and the ties that they get and stuff like that there's a lot of literature written on this, and there is a lot of social, psychological, pathological behavior that is created because of a breakdown in these ties that begin with the family and then extend to the community, but also a sense of transcendent moral purpose. There is a piece that was put out by the Acton Institute. It's called Hardwired to Connect. And these are social scientists, psychologists, brain physiologists, saying that the human being is hardwired to connect in two ways. One is to a transcendent source of moral meaning and purpose, and two is to an authoritative community that transmits that sense of purpose. Now, by authoritative community, I don't mean authoritarian. Authoritative is a community that passes on these senses of value and purpose, as an authority on that. And so the center of such a community is a family. And so a community that starts with a family that passes on the moral values and sense that creates a sense of purpose is essential to the psychological and social well-being of children as they grow up, which obviously is essential to the healthy function of a society. Now, there's a lot of studies done of the earning potential of a family that is together, intact, husband and wife, and versus a broken family. There is a lot of studies done on the economic cost of divorce in a broken family versus an intact family. And then there's studies done on the positive aspects of the family that's intact. So you cannot separate the economic concern from the social moral concern, because in reality the two come together. Now, does that mean we need to start going around and legislating certain moral values? No, because the moral values have to become through this, and we talked about earlier about the voluntary associations, about the covenant, from the family to the churches to this whole civil society order. Apart from preventing Party A from doing harm to Party B, the government really doesn't have much of a positive role in doing this, in establishing the values that create and determine the social order. As a matter of fact, the more the government involves itself in this, the more it messes up the situation. There is a sociologist, his name is Myron Magnet, I think his name. He was a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute, and he wrote a book called The Dream and the Nightmare, the 60s Legacy to the Underclass. And he started talking about the erosion in the value system that accompanied the 60s, revolution in morality and free sex and all this other stuff like this, had a detrimental effect to the underclass. And so, and he goes into all these statistics and studies and stuff like that, which actually is not surprising if you take the scientific study and saying that the breakdown of the sense of moral authority and purpose is accompanying a lot of social and psychological pathologies. So you got a sociologist on one hand, and then you got these brain scientists on the other hand, coming to essentially the same conclusion. And so you have the breakdown in the value system, but you also have the replacing of the family and the institutions of civil society with a bureaucratic welfare state. And when you replace these institutions that we talked about earlier, their sovereignty withers, and their reason for existence becomes weakened, and the institutions themselves weaken. And so these institutions that give moral guidance and purpose to people are being replaced by bureaucratic welfare agencies. And you set up, the judge or divider. Who made me judge or divider over you? Well, Christ himself felt that it wasn't his role, but a lot of people tend to believe this is a government bureaucrat's role. So you don't have an establishment of the public good in doing this, but you do have an empowerment of a growing bureaucracy, which disenfranchises the people. So you have a situation here where the social order of the family, of the civil society, of the churches and stuff like that is being undermined by a growing army of government bureaucrats. And then you have this army of government bureaucrats is centralizing authority in the political structure, which is undermining the sovereignty of the citizens. And so there's many different dynamics going on here that accompany the rise of the welfare state, and none of them good. And that's why I get frustrated when I hear an argument simply that, well, these are all good ideas and good programs, but we can't afford it. Maybe, we should cut back a little bit, cut taxes and stuff like that, and regulate and deregulate the economy, and then we would be able to generate more revenue so we can afford all these good things. Well, yeah, we should cut back taxes and generate the economy, but not so we can create more programs, because the programs, I'm not saying you cut all the programs at once, but it's not just that we can't afford it, it's that it doesn't work to begin with. In principle, it is an approach that is deviated from the original approach to creating the social good. And the bureaucratization of our society is in opposition to human nature and to the individual striving for excellence and the cooperation, voluntary cooperation as we strive for excellence together, and the mature individuals coming together and creating a free society, and the economic prosperity that comes about when people are free to engage in entrepreneurial activity and to take risk and to risk the possibility of loss. And so when we make an argument for cutting back on spending or cutting back on a lot of these things, the argument is not simply one of we can't afford it or one of economic efficiency. The argument is this approach, the whole approach conceptually does not work, and there is a better approach, and we want to take the resources back from the centralized government and keep it in the communities, in the families, and allow civil society to flourish. We don't want to eliminate government altogether, but we want to have government do what it was meant to do. And I used to be a product engineer at IBM. We have circuitry. You design these circuit boards and stuff like that. And when you repair them, you use, they're delicate, sophisticated pieces of equipment. You don't take a hammer to it and start banging on it. Well, the social order is a very complex phenomena. And to take a government bureaucracy and impose it upon, on the economy or on the social order is the equivalent of taking a hammer to a circuit board and thinking you're going to fine-tune it. It is insane. But this is what we're doing. And this is, and we're doing this in the name of the public good. And laughably, the people who are doing it are taking the moral high ground and putting us on the defensive because somehow in opposing these initiatives, we're opposing the public good, and somehow we're being selfish, and we only want our taxes, so to hang on to our taxes so that they won't take it from us. And then this is something we need to keep into consideration, that there is more than economic efficiency going on, and there's more than just, we don't want our taxes taken from us. There is two different approaches to realizing the public good. One works, one doesn't. We've tried experimentation in command and control economy. It does not work. It does not create the public good. It creates a mess. And we're trying it again because we don't learn from history. We're repeating the same mistakes over and over again. And then the people who are doing this are wondering why the public is upset and why the public is demanding that we reverse course. So this is something that we want to keep in mind when we go about and addressing some of these issues. Thank you.